The Pittsburgh Steelers are gearing up for the start of the 2025 NFL season as the team prepares to take on the New York Jets on Sunday, and while excitement is high across Steelers Nation, the reality of roster attrition is already setting in. Pittsburgh will be without a pair of rookies in the opener, as both Derek Harmon and Will Howard will not be in uniform. For Harmon, the absence is significant because he was expected to contribute early in the defensive backfield rotation. For Howard, it's a setback that stings more from a developmental perspective than from an immediate impact standpoint. The rookie quarterback was never likely to see meaningful snaps this season, at best being listed as the emergency quarterback on game days. But his early injury has derailed even that limited role, and instead he begins his rookie season on short-term injured reserve after suffering a broken bone and a finger on his throwing hand during training camp in Latrobe. The injury might not be catastrophic in terms of severity, but the timing and the context make it frustrating for both the player and the fan base. Howard, who was drafted as a developmental arm, had quickly become one of the most intriguing figures at camp, earning cheers for his mobility, his arm strength, and his willingness to take chances in practice reps. He wasn't just another rookie quarterback buried on the depth chart, he became something of a cult favorite. The kind of player fans love to root for even when they know the chances of him playing are slim. That made his injury all the more deflating. The sight of him standing on the sidelines in sweats, unable to throw, was a reminder that NFL dreams can be put on hold in an instant. Howard didn't even get the chance to take a preseason snap. Fans who packed into Acrisure Stadium for August games had hoped to see him under center, if only for a series or two, just to catch a glimpse of what might be coming in the future. Instead, they will likely have to wait until the 2026 preseason to see him in action. That kind of lost year is hard for a rookie, especially a quarterback. Reps are everything. The speed of the NFL game can only be learned on the field, and no amount of mental preparation can fully replicate the chaos of a collapsing pocket or the precision needed to fit a ball into a tight window against a disguised coverage. Insider Ray Fittipaldo of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette has already suggested that Howard could be redshirted for the entirety of the season, a phrase more common in college football but one that fans are starting to hear more often in the NFL. Howard might get a redshirt because the Steelers did not get to evaluate him in camp after he was injured, Fittipaldo wrote. Thompson played well when the opportunity presented itself. I don't see Howard coming back to the 53-man roster unless there is a QB injury that necessitates an IR move. It's not hard to see why Fittipaldo would take that position. The Steelers, like every NFL team, have a limited number of return designations from injured reserve. Using one of those slots on a third-string rookie quarterback when the roster is fighting to stay deep at other positions would be questionable strategy. Pittsburgh doesn't want to carry 4 quarterbacks on the active roster, and they aren't ready to part ways with Skylar Thompson, who has proven serviceable and dependable as a backup. If an injury doesn't strike one of the top 3, Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, or Thompson, Howard may never leave IR this year. The potential season-long redshirt label would be a disappointment for fans who saw flashes in training camp. Howard's athleticism and mobility were noted often by reporters, his ability to escape the pocket and extend plays creating some buzz. He was still learning how to process defenses at NFL speed, still refining his mechanics, but there were glimpses that gave fans hope he could eventually develop into a starter. For a franchise that has lived in a constant state of quarterback transition since the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger, any sign of a potential long-term answer is magnified. Fans wanted Howard to be given a chance to show whether he could be that guy. Now that chance is delayed, and the odds of him ever becoming the franchise quarterback feel slimmer with every week spent on the sidelines. Still, it's important to remember that rookie quarterbacks in Pittsburgh have often been given time to sit and learn. The Steelers are not a franchise that throws players to the wolves without preparation. They value patience, structure, and development. In Howard's case, even if he isn't practicing, he will still have access to the most valuable asset the Steelers could offer him, Aaron Rodgers. The 4-time MVP has already become the focal point of the offense and the leader of the locker room. If Howard uses this season to learn from Rodgers, to study his weekly preparation, to understand how to dissect defenses in film sessions, then the year won't be wasted. It will be a different kind of development, more mental than physical, but valuable nonetheless. This redshirt approach isn't new to Pittsburgh. Fans saw it in 2024 with Roman Wilson and Logan Lee, two rookies who barely saw the field in their first seasons. Lee missed the entire year with an injury. Wilson played sparingly, essentially sitting behind veterans while adjusting to the NFL game. Both were frustrating cases at the time, but the Steelers are a franchise that plays the long game. They don't measure rookies solely by their first year, they measure them by whether they're ready when their number is called. For Howard, that number might not be called until 2026, but that doesn't mean the organization has given up on him. From a roster management perspective, the Steelers' logic is simple. Protect Howard's rights. Keep him in the building. Allow him to learn. But don't jeopardize depth at positions where injuries are inevitable just to keep him active. Thompson's strong preseason only made this decision easier. He played well enough to justify his spot as the third quarterback, and Rudolph remains the steady veteran presence behind Rodgers. There's no room to carry four, and the idea of trading Thompson hasn't gained much traction unless another team gets desperate. That leaves Howard as the odd man out, at least for now. It's easy to feel frustration at the idea of an entire rookie season lost. Steelers Nation loves their quarterbacks, and every training camp brings with it a new round of speculation about the next guy. Howard fit that mold perfectly, a new face with potential, a name fans could rally around, a symbol of hope for the future. Seeing that excitement crushed before week 1 is tough. But the NFL is a long game, and not every career follows a straight path. Injuries, setbacks, delays, they happen. What matters is how a player responds, how he uses the time, and whether he comes back stronger. Howard will have every opportunity to do that. Sitting in quarterback meetings, breaking down film with Rodgers, watching Rudolph prepare like the seasoned veteran he is, and observing Thompson's grit and competitiveness will all add to his education. He may not be throwing passes in stadiums filled with fans, but he will still be learning the craft, still absorbing the lessons that make the difference between a prospect and a professional. So as Pittsburgh heads into week 1 with Harmon sidelined and Howard shelved, the roster is not at full strength. But it is still strong, still built around a defense that can dominate and an offense led by a quarterback who has been here before. Howard's story is simply one of patience, a reminder that not every rookie gets to shine right away, and that sometimes the best thing a young quarterback can do is watch, listen, and prepare. Steelers fans may have to wait a year longer than expected to see if Howard has what it takes, but in a franchise built on discipline and long-term thinking, waiting is nothing new.